morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. We are back in better than ever. And today, we're talking about midpoints, and we're going to do some things besides finding the midpoints because that's easy peasy. Let the adventure begin, as angels and airwaves would say. Yeah! All right, so here we go. Midpoints are quite important, of course, in geometry, but in construction as well, because things, depending on the shape, things can be strongest, hold the most weight when we find midpoints or anchor trusses at midpoints, as shown in some of these here. Here we go. The midpoint formula. It's just it's halfway. If you had 2 grades, and you wanted to average them, you would add them up and divide by 2. Well, the midpoint is the average of the x-coordinates of 2 points and the average of the y-coordinates of 2 points. So if you understand that, you'll never have to memorize this formula ever again. So this midpoint is the average of 1 and 5. 1 plus 5 is 6. Divided by 2 is 3, and you can see that's the x-coordinate. And then the average of the y-coordinates, 4 plus 2 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. So that's the coordinate 3, 3, as shown here. So just some quick practice. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of AB, right? For A, -1, 3, and B, 4, 7. So the midpoint M would be -1 plus 4 over 2, so that's the x-coordinate, and then the y-coordinate would be 3 plus 7 divided by 2, and we work that out, and so the midpoint, -1 plus 4 is 3, 3 halves. We can write that as 3 halves, 1 and 1/2 or 1.5, doesn't matter. 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So that's the midpoint of AB. Let's stamp a graph on here and see if that makes sense. So I'll move that over here a little bit. Okay, and let's plot the point -1, 3, 1, 2, 3, right there. And so that's point A. And then 4, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's B. And let's join that with a pink. Yeah, right there. And our claim is 1 and 1/2 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 M, and that sure does look like it's halfway in between. There's the midpoint. All right, M is the midpoint of AB. Find the coordinates of B if A is 1, 3 and M is 4, -2. You don't have to have a perfect graph like this to do this question. There's 2 ways to tackle it. Graphically and with the formula. So I know that the midpoint of any 2 points is x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That's an awful 2. It's really bugging me. Okay. But I know that the midpoint is 4, -2. And I know that one of my x's, x1 I guess, is 1, and then my y1 is 3. So I know for the x-coordinate, 4, that 4 has to equal, and I'm just going to use this formula, x1 is 1, so that's 1 plus x2, and that's going to be my x-coordinate for B, okay, divided by 2. And I can easily solve that, multiplying both sides of the equation by 2. These cancel. I get 8 equals 1 plus x sub 2. Subtract 1. And I get 7 is equal to x sub 2. So my B coordinate, or the x coordinate of B, is 7. And then I do the same thing for y. I know that the y coordinate of the midpoint is -2. So I'm going to say that -2 is equal to, again using this formula, the y-coordinate of A is 3, so that's going to be 3 plus y2. And it doesn't matter which one's y1 or y2. You just have to decide and then go with it. And I'm going to divide that by 2. Multiply both sides by 2. Kapow theorem, gone. -4 equals 3 plus y2. Subtract 3. And I get -7 equals y sub 2. So my midpoint is 7, or no, sorry, my point B is 7, -7. So let's graph all these just to check it. A is 1, 3, so 1, 1, 2, 3, right there. The midpoint is 4, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, and then the point B is 7, -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have A, which was given. I have the midpoint, and we found B. Looky there. And so I can connect those, and I think you can clearly see that looks like a legit midpoint. The other way we could have done this to find B, let me get rid of B here. I think that's the last one I gave. Here, I'll just erase it. Sorry. So this is M, right? So you can say to yourself, well, how far? You can just use steps. How far do I need to go first horizontally and then vertically to get to the midpoint? Well, if I go 1, 2, 3 units to the right and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units down, I get from point A to point M. So if M is the midpoint between A and B, I just have to do the same thing to get to B. 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and there she blows. That's B, right? And if you look, that is the coordinate 7, -7, which is what we just got. I'm going to go ahead and put the line back in just so we can see it all nice and neat. And you can see the steps. So you can do it that way as well if you have a nice little graph. Even if you sketch one, you can do it. And that's what that example is, so I'm not going to do that again. But I hope you enjoyed it. And I cannot wait to speak to you one more time. Before we check out, we'll check in with Angels and Airwaves, see how they're doing with the song The Adventure. And I am... Oh!